round one is a go, and our hand looks pretty solid. The hands with no 2-drops are generally fine as long as you have a 3. It's a little bit sketchy on the draw. Depends what you have. Sometimes you like actually need a Siege Rhino to justify keeping those hands, but on the play, this hand is certainly good. And I'll take that Courser. I think that's pretty reasonable. I was a little excited to give him the beatdowns, but I could also use some extra land drops, so. Seeing as how he is Abzan, that's also probably a wise choice. He could certainly be the aggro deck, but I think mid-range is a little more popular. Could certainly be wrong. Would either expect him to take Anafenza, trying to get me to not play anything next turn, or take something like Whip of Erebos. People generally underrate See the Unwritten, I think. And I already have 2 4s that are both pretty threatening, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him take Anafenza here. And since the deck is a little bit more threat dense, like you see Reaper, Anafenza, See the Unwritten, I get Thoughtseize here and I actually just don't care, which is pretty nice. He does take the Whip. So, still not sure if that's an indicator of anything. But I'm just going to play Anafenza here. I'm not going to be able to play a land with Courser. So, I would rather not, like, since he's seen my hand and he knows I don't have lands, if I play Courser and there's not a land on top and he kills it, I might be in some trouble, so I'd rather just play it and take a shot at hitting an extra land. Alright, so we do have a land, but I'd like to get a free one. I don't. That's okay, though. Perfectly fine trading Anafenzas here, and if he doesn't want to block, that's also fine, because I've 2 creatures in play and removal spell on top, couple of powerful 4s. So if he just took it, then I feel like I'd be in the driver's seat and I'd be able to give him the beatdowns. He's gonna Thoughtseize me again, but again, just doesn't really matter. Can take whatever he wants. Takes my Rhino. Not surprising. Herald of Torment. So I'm not too worried about that Herald right now, but if he wants to block, maybe I would consider putting counters on my thing to kill it. But yeah, he just doesn't even really want to risk that. So he's pretty low and is going to be taking some damage off this Herald, so I'm just going to play another creature. I could try an Abzan Charm, and that would give me another shot to hit a land off Courser, and I could be making my land drops and stuff, but I think it's important to actually just put pressure on your opponent in the meantime instead of getting value. There will be like plenty of chances to get value later. So he just charms my Reaper, which is kind of sad, but now the race is kind of on. And we are fresh out of 4-power guys, but have this Abzan Charm to maybe make our Courser 4-power, but I don't really want to let him just get rid of 2 of my cards with one of his cards. I don't think it's that important. I think I'm winning this race right now, and I would probably rather just kill a Rhino, kill his Herald, or draw some cards. So right now I'm thinking about this See the Unwritten and whether or not I want to draw the second one, or if I just want to set it up next turn to where I can definitely cast the one that I do have. And I think I just want to make sure I can cast the one that I do have. So I'm going to try and find an untapped land here. And we hit. Another Wayfinder on top. Depending on what happens, I might shuffle that away. I guess it's important to note that the Wayfinder actually represents a pretty significant clock too, so getting that into play is pretty nice. I guess there's some consideration here to not getting Wingmate rocked. And if he does rock me, I think the play that I would have to make is probably charm my Courser to have 2 shots with See the Unwritten. What would be better, though? Is it better to kill his guy or make a 4-power guy and then maybe put 2 things into play? I'm not sure. He definitely has Wingmate Rock in his deck. I don't think that's really up for debate. But can I beat that if I cast See the Unwritten? I have to hit pretty well. But if I kill this and then he plays something like a Rhino, then I can no longer attack and he can still Wingmate Rock me. So I'm not sure if I'd even necessarily be able to keep him off Wingmate Rock. But if I kill this thing this turn so he can't rock me this turn and then I See the Unwritten, maybe I'll be in a good enough board position to where even if he rocks me, then I'll still be able to go on the offensive. Hard to say. I think I'm going to kill this guy. I think that is the safest play, but this could certainly be wrong. There's also a chance he just doesn't have a 5th land. Now, if this goes through and he like Thoughtseize might See the Unwritten, I'll feel silly, but then I'm not in the worst position because he'd be at 7 and I'd have 2 things. So yep. Oh, and there's a whip. I kind of want that whip. Now is it possible that I just don't do anything? There aren't many things I could See the Unwritten into that would let me attack through his Rhino. Like I would have to hit a Soul and have it not get Absent Charmed. But if I play a land, don't play Wayfinder, don't play See the Unwritten because I want to draw this whip next turn. He's going to attack me for 4, put me to 11. It looks like he doesn't have a 5th land, but he could just be holding it. And then I'm at 11, and I can whip back a Rhino. I can't even whip back a Rhino until the turn after. So I'd be at 7, assuming he didn't even play anything. But if he plays like another Rhino, then that's close to lethal. I'd have to be chump blocking, but I'd also need him to not have any removal, so I think trying to play this whip game is a little too slow. I know I'm definitely playing this land because I'm either playing See the Unwritten or nothing. I think we're going to go for a See the Unwritten because I don't think trying to draw this whip is all that good. I could be wrong. It just feels like I might be a little too far behind, especially if he plays a Wingmate Rock or another Rhino. So I get a Reaper. And as always, the top card of my deck disappears. There it is, Carried. Exactly what I did not want. Okay, so now it looks like he has an Abzan Charm. Could also be a downfall, I guess. He's like kind of free rolling, right? Because he gets to attack, and even if I block with Reaper, he can either charm to put counters on his Rhino, or he can downfall my Reaper and trample. So he's going to be able to trample over me no matter what I do. So I don't think there's any point in me blocking. Unless that's just a sick bluff, and maybe he is raiding Wingmate Rock. Maybe I should have thought about that more. But yeah, just a Death Dealer. Death Dealer, and then did not kill my Reaper, so curious. So definitely want to draw that Rhino. And then we'll go digging with Wayfinder to try and hit a Soul of Theros and actually stabilize. Could have just been a Bioblight, I guess. If it were anything else, I think he would kill the Reaper on his turn. Now we get to block with Reaper. And I think no matter what happens, I'm coming out on this exchange ahead. Because he doesn't have mana to Bioblight twice, or play 2 removal spells. Definitely keeping Rhino on top. Yeah, I don't know if he just thought he could get me again that turn, or what happened really. Well, do I want to draw that Downfall? Kinda do. Since he threw his Rhino away, we're a lot closer to stabilizing, so I don't think we need to go digging for Soul as aggressively. Reaper might have been able to attack there, because he could regenerate his Death Dealer, but he'd have to take a point of Painland damage. So maybe I just missed out on a point there. Not sure. But now I think I'm pretty safe to attack with these two. You just go into 1. So drawing Utter End would be good. But also playing Satyr Wayfinder would be good. Since it is lethal. I'm just going to pass, though. I think it's more likely that Utter End gets through lethal than Satyr Wayfinder. Because you could just play a Rhino. Okay. So, game would have been much easier if we found a Soul of Theros, but I like the way it played out. Bringing all the removal here, the Wingmate Rocks, and Sage is not good, Freak is not good. Since he saw Whips, I would assume some number of Back to Natures are coming in, so I generally cut those, and a Courser, and then some Caryatids. So I think I'm going to end up keeping in 1 Caryatid here. It's like not bad to have this accelerator, but it's worth noting that not only am I lowering my curve, but I'm bringing in 6 removal spells, so I'm trying to play a more grindy game. And if I'm going to be spending turn 2 and turn 3 just killing his guys almost no matter what, then the mana acceleration from Caryatid that I get is not going to be as useful. It doesn't actually do anything. And since I'm slowing down the game, it's more likely that I'll just be able to naturally hit land drops 5 and 6 to play out my big cards, so I won't actually need Caryatid as that or as a mana fixer or anything like that. So Caryatid just kind of loses all of its abilities, you know, it like doesn't even block very well in this matchup. So it's like you don't need the accelerator, you don't need the color fixer. since you have the 6 removal spells, just because it changes the way the games play out. This hand looks good. Could do without these pain lands. Ooh, do I want another Wayfinder? I don't think I do. I don't think the 1/1 does much. And our whips are gone. We have one of our souls in our hand. So I'd rather just draw any other card than a 1/1 that gets me land. See, this is a forest, but I might also need a second plains. I think it's more likely that I end up fetching a forest with this. But I don't think there's any point to doing it right now. I think I can just take the 1 point of damage and wait until next turn to see what type of color I need. So we get a Citadel, so now it doesn't really matter. So now I'd rather just have a pain-free green source since we have our second white mana. So Anaphanza is going to get killed. That's not even close. And it might be wrong to use cut here, but I really want to get my pain-free mana sources into play. But cut is going to be 1 mana on the next turn, so that could certainly be a mistake. I could see drawing something like a Courser or my other Anaphanza and wanting to play 2 spells, but not being able to now. So we're currently Urborg rich. Definitely not the best place to be, and there are certainly risks to playing multiple Urborgs, but it's not like we need land 7 anyway. So me drawing this is like the same thing as drawing an extra land. It's not that big of a deal. And Urborg is one of the best mana fixers in the deck, so I really, really like having the second one in. And we use Downfall instead of Charm because I might want to draw cards with Charm. And he doesn't have any Planeswalkers or anything, so they're functionally the same card. Charm will almost always be able to tag the same creatures, including Death Dealer. Now I'm probably pretty likely to just use Charm as a kill spell, but we'll see what we scry into. Forest. I definitely don't want that. Even if it were close between whether or not I was supposed to kill it or supposed to draw cards, I would probably err on the side of killing it in most spots, just because you could have Wingmate Rock, and keeping him off raid for as long as possible is pretty important. Gives me more time to actually draw into my big cards and try and have some hope of stabilizing. Drew the 1 Caryatid, so that's not great. And I'm just going to run Soul out here. He has not used a removal spell yet, so would not be completely shocked if it just gets Abzan Charmed. And that would be really unfortunate, but, you know, it's in our hand, so not really a ton we can do about that. I considered just having a couple Thoughtseizes instead of like one of the Coursers and the last Caryatid. Okay, Hero's Downfall, that's not the worst. So I think we can safely assume that he does not have an Abzan Charm. There's a Glare. So we get to kill his Rhino, but we don't get to keep him off of raid. He does only have one card left, though. Could be a Wingmate Rock. Could not. With how quickly my opponent attacked, I think it would be. Nope, just Death Dealer. Okay. And a Rhino. Huh. Maybe we are in this game. Somehow. Death Dealer is certainly not an easy card to deal with, but I think we can do it. If he attacks me, I chomp, and then I probably attack and use the soul. And my Rhino didn't die. It could be possible he was trying to keep open like regen mana for Death Dealer. But I think he just doesn't have removal. So last card might be a land. Please no follow-up play, and then I can attack you and exile my soul, gain a bunch of life. Oh, there's a Thoughtseize. I'm down with that. Bile-Blight. That is a good draw. So play out the second Urborg so I get to keep Bile-Blight open. I'm trying to get in here for 9. Oh man. So his last card was a Thoughtseize. So I'm going to take this opportunity to Bile-Blight his Death Dealer. And now it's going to be 11-14. He has the better creature in the first draw step. So I'm at a slight disadvantage here. Well, I like my chances, you know. A lot of good cards I could draw. Oh no. Lion. Of course, it's not the worst. Doomwake Giants. Oh, I was supposed to side those out probably. It's big, I guess. Yeah, I was definitely supposed to side those out because they're enchantments. They're not good. I would certainly rather have a whip than a Doomwake Giant in my deck. Alright, so he's coming at me for 7. This guy is Death Touch. So I could trade away Courser and Wayfinder for Heir of the Wilds. Or I could just chump block Lion and then continue to take 3 from the Heir. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I want this Courser. Oh, there's Anafenza. That's big. We'll happily trade that with the Heir. Yeah, pretty funny. This Doomwake should just not be in my deck. Supposed to have probably some Thoughtseizes. Why is he attacking me? What's going on? What is happening? Ooh, a Rhino. Kind of want to hit a land at some point, so I wasn't dead to a Rhino or another air attack. But Rhino on top is certainly pretty good. And I can't attack here because he could have a removal spell. I've hit some pretty good cards in a row. And he's hit some blanks. And I think we're fine just trading there. Now we just have to attack around this lion unless he has a Wingmate Rock. Not good. Not good. Okay. So we're at 3. Can Rhino up to 6. And then we have to hit a land to not die. Or I could try and crack the fetch, not draw Rhino, but draw something else that could potentially save me. And Whip is not going to do it. Removal spell might do it if I hit a land, but that's the same thing as the Rhino. So I could hit See the Unwritten, or maybe into a Rhino and like find a land that way. Or I could get a Wayfinder into my last soul and an untapped land. Seems kind of far-fetched though. I think I'm better off just drawing the Rhino and then trying to hit a land. And I just have another Rhino. Okay, I'm dead. Rats. I get these Doomwakes out of my deck. So I didn't see any Back to Natures. I didn't see any enchantment hate, really. So I'm not sure if things like Reaper and See the Unwritten just scared him off and he decided that, you know, I didn't have that many enchantments and he didn't want to bring stuff in. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm still a little skeptical on this Whip. Because even if he doesn't have Back to Nature, he still has stuff like Anafenza, which is just good against Whip naturally, so I think I'm just going to have some Thoughtseizes here, and like, I know he had the Herald game 1, but I don't think that's any indication that he doesn't have Back to Nature or any sort of enchantment hate, because I think Rietzel's deck from Denver had just a Miser's Herald. I don't remember what they had in their board for enchantment hate, though. Yeah, we'll do this. The Doomwake did end up being better than the Thoughtseize, but the Caryatid was not better than the Thoughtseize. Alright, so this hand is very painful and doesn't have white mana, but it does have a Courser. If we get Thoughtseize, it's going to be bad, but if we mulligan and get Thoughtseize, that's also going to be bad. So I think I'm better off just keeping this, even though I really don't like my mana situation. But if we rattle off a white, then I like our chance this game, so getting Thoughtseize is, you know, not what I wanted, but again, I don't think mulliganing and getting Thoughtseize would put us in a better position. I feel like I messed up game 2. Certainly in sideboarding, but I really hope I don't lose because of that. Actually takes Absent Charm. Cool. And we draw a removal spell that is capable of killing his first place. That's also great. Play the Urborg, even though it can fix his mana, let him take less damage. Because I also don't want to take damage, and I foresee casting Bioblight this turn. So I'd just rather not take 2. And he still took a point of damage, I think. So that worked out well. Okay, well, I definitely want that to get white mana. Well, that's certainly a good draw. That's step 1. Reaper of the Wilds is step 2. We might be doing it. It might be happening. Don't really want to shuffle that Abzan Charm away, because that's a great card. So, I think we're just going to keep that one. And then he shouldn't be able to kill any of my creatures right now. And then whatever he plays, I can kill it. And then whatever he plays, I can kill it again. So he could take the turn off to just kill Reaper, which is probably his best play if he has something for that. Okay, I like my spot. Unfortunately, I have to shuffle this Rhino away, but I think we're doing okay. And I'm going to glare this to try and keep open hexproof mana for as long as possible. And Reaper might just give him the beatdowns here. He's going to continually Rhino me, though. Which basically amounts to both of us taking 3 a turn, which is pretty funny. More Rhinos. More Rhinos. Okay. So I could charm the Rhino, or I could attack with Reaper, and he can't really block, so I can just give it Death Touch. I kind of do want to kill his Rhino, so if I'm just going to charm it, I might as well do it now. Again, keep him off raid. And then I'm hitting him for 6, which will put him to 4. My Rhino can put him to 1. So he could, like, Thoughtseize my Rhino, but other than that, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So I think, yeah, my best play certainly looks like just killing his guy. As always, Wingmate Rock is one of the few cards that that could actually stabilize him, and I don't really want to give him the chance to actually do that. And if we ever rattle off some lands, we can see the Unwritten, but I don't think it's going to come down to that. I think this game is probably going to be over before then. So our big pile of removal paying dividends. And yeah. Oh, we're going to hit a land next turn. That's cool. And the next turn. Excellent. So as you saw there, you know, we're supposed to be this whip deck, this late game deck, but having things like the early creatures just lets you put your opponent under a lot of pressure. And while the removal spells are meant to be used mostly defensively, you could also use them very offensively as well. So I like having a deck that's not as straightforward, not as linear. You know, you have a lot of different things going on, and it can be really tough to sideboard, mulligan, and play against. So I think that worked out well. And I think I could have won game 2 also if I hadn't been so stupid. So maybe that's kind of like I 3-0'd him, but the game would have been close no matter what. So